Hey, what's going on, everybody? The Dale Valor Inner Game Podcast in full effect. This is episode 1. So if you are listening to this right now, you are on the ride of a lifetime, right? Because this is where we're kicking off this podcast. I've done other podcasts. I've done radio before, YouTube stuff, but I've never, ever, ever had my own podcast where it's just me, and Shabam.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. I can make you 3 promises if you listen to this podcast and you keep listening to this podcast. Okay. The first is this is going to be unfiltered and raw and authentic. All right. The second promise that I can make you is you are going to learn something. Okay. The third promise is that you are also going to have a good time doing it. Okay, so that's what this is all about. We want you to have some fun, but we want you, most importantly, to come away with some inner game concepts and some inner game learning to help you stop self-sabotaging yourself, right? So, excuse me. So that's what's up. I'm ready. I'm excited. You got me, Dale Valor of Modern Flirting. We got Shabam over here
Hello, guys.
about 8,000 miles away. In another
From basically halfway across the world.
Yeah, so we're just gonna hop right into it and get this thing moving. And if you have any questions, what you can always do is I will put the email link in the description. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, you will find it. You can send us questions because I'm more than happy to engage with you, because this is not about me. This is about you and what you get from it, what you learn from it. I already know it. Not to say that somebody knows it all, of course, but the thing is that this is a service to you, and this is a brand you can trust. Okay, so fire off them questions. We came a little prepared, because nobody even knew that we were doing this. And so, we did a little bit of show prep here and, figured out a few topics to kick around. But ultimately, I want this to be driven by you. Okay. So let's kick it off then. You doing all right? You doing all right, Shabam? You good?
Yep. Perfectly fine. Yeah. So let's begin this. Since it's your first podcast, let's begin with your intro, man. So who exactly is Dale Valor? Give us a background.
All right. So I'll give you a very truncated version of my story, because I was just telling Shabam this just before we hopped on. I could make this go for 2 hours just talking about my story, my origin story, all those types of things.
Exactly.
But in the interest of time and in the interest of me not having to tell a big long story like that, I'll give you the short version. All right. So, when I was coming up, when I was high school, college age, all that kind of thing, I wasn't good with women, with relationships, and particularly being socially savvy. Okay. So I wasn't good at it. The way I like to put it is, if I was talking or involved in a conversation about something that I knew something about, it might be music or sports or something like that. Well, I'd be all right. I'd be all right inside of that conversation. I wasn't completely like I just couldn't open my mouth and talk to people, but it had to be within something I knew about. As soon as the conversation would shift to where, say that conversation moves to science, well, I'm going to take a big step back, sit this out for a while, and hopefully the conversation shifts back again into something I know about. Okay. So I got really tired of that, and it wasn't good for, trying to get dates or have a relationship or anything like that. Okay. Now, that aside, I did get married. Okay. So you could say, well, wow, that's, that's
big
kind
jump.
of one extreme to the other. But I fumbled my way through that, and I lucked out. Is basically what happened. Okay, believe you me, it wasn't because of me being so smooth with my approach. Okay, so it just happened to work out. Okay, and we're still married to this day, and so that's been great. Well, fast forward about 10 years past what I'm talking about, so
Mm,
like from like 20 to 30. So my entire
mm,
20s, right? Same deal. I got married, so dating was out of the picture at that time. And things.
mm,
Well, I got to be about 31 or something like that, very early 30s. And um, me and my wife decided, mutually, to start having an open relationship. Okay. And so what do I have on my hands here? Well, I have a new lease on a dating life, right? So I thought to myself, well, how can I take advantage of this? Um, knowing historically that I just wasn't good with that type of thing, how could I improve? All right. Well, what I did was I started getting involved with a lot of the pickup community and things like that, and learning techniques and tricks and all these types of things, right? And what I found was this. Now, albeit those things were helpful, especially in the very beginning stages, but really at the core, the problem is I wasn't secure with myself. The relationship with myself is really what was suffering. And now, because I'm going out and I'm talking to people, like I said, I've got some cool little routines that I can do, and some stuff like that, cool attraction stories and whatever, whatever. So now I have ammunition, right, to be able to have these conversations. I got some things that I can pull out of my pocket and use. So I'm going out talking to people, but all that really did, and I'm glad I did it, by the way. But really, what it did was it shined a big spotlight on all the flaws in my inner game. Okay, and so what I realized was I needed to really start doubling down, working on who I was as a person, and start leveling up those areas so as that I can present my authentic self and not have to be reliant on things like magic tricks and love spells and things like that, right?
yeah.
So um that's really what was an awakening moment for me, was all the things that I had to work on internally. Confidence, self-esteem, um trust issues, being able to build comfort with people, any number of things. It was all things that I had to work on. Okay. And by doing that work, fast forward now, like
Mm,
16 years later, basically, this is 16 years of me working on myself internally. Right. So is that when
mm,
I'm presenting on the outside, when I'm engaging with somebody, what I'm presenting on the outside is exactly what's on the inside. So what you have is congruency and authenticity, right? So, and the beautiful thing about that too, by the way, is it doesn't just end there. It wasn't just like, hey, so I'm get out here and kick it, like meet this girl here, there, or wherever.
yeah.
That's cool and all, but that's a very small part of it. All those things that I learned became transcended across the breadth of my life, right? Every area of my life, I needed to still have that same persona. It's not a light switch that you turn on and turn off. Oh, I don't need my inner game today.
Mm,
Let me cut this light off.
mhm,
You know what I mean?
mhm,
No,
yeah.
so it enabled me to, start my own businesses, which I'd have never been able to do, 20 years ago. Like it's just unfathomable.
Mm,
Okay. And now basically talking for a living, which is the biggest irony ever, because you
mm,
couldn't, I certainly couldn't do it for free back then. You
mhm,
wouldn't be
yep.
able to pay me to do it back then,
Yeah.
you know? And now that's exactly what I do. Right. So, now I'm coaching with modern flirting, and, my role there is the inner game guy, so
Yep.
the guys inside of our program, the struggles that they have internally, I'm the guy that they come to see. Right. So I've been working with guys for a long time, working on these things. Why? Because I did it for myself, and if I could do it for myself, I could certainly help you deal with it too and work through it.
Exactly, because you know what happens when you don't actually are genuinely confident, because that's kind of the current pickup scene entirely. People are, completely focused on the routine or the words rather than actually being confident and actually being themselves.
Right.
It's like they're trying to pretend to be something they're not, then they appear incongruent and they get confused. He used the same line. It worked for him. Why didn't it work for me? Something must be wrong with me. And
Right. And
they
that's
suddenly
one of the
assume,
biggest, man, that's one of the biggest challenges that I see is that guys, they all want the magic bullet. They
yep.
all want the pill. Like, oh, if I can just say this one line, man, that one line isn't going to do nothing for you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. If life was that easy, bro,
Right.
come on, everyone would have done it.
Right. Like
Exactly.
it's funny. So check this out. So at the in modern flirting, we do quarterly retreats. Okay, where like all the coaches and all the students that can make it, we all meet up somewhere. And this last one that we did was in the Miami area in Florida. Okay, and so on beach day, we're all going out to the beach. So here's all the coaches, right? And then you got a good 40 students or so, okay, that were there. And so we're all hitting the beach. And by the way, we all have modern flirting t-shirts on, tank tops to be specific, which I came away with the worst sunburn I've ever had in my entire life. Man, I had so many people clowning me about that sunburn. It was ridiculous. My shoulders are still peeling, okay? So it was bad. It was rough. But anyhow, even the tops of my feet got sunburned. That's how bad it was. Unreal. So anyway, now here's the thing. Cosmo, one of our coaches. If you guys don't know who that is, he won the pickup artist. What's the word I'm looking here?
It was VH1 TV show. Yeah, exactly.
VH1, they had a reality show that Mystery hosted, and it was a competition show, and Cosmo won that. Okay, and so he's a coach. He coaches. He's one of my contemporaries. We're in the same company. We coach together, right? So Cosmo has a starter, to start conversations with that he really likes. And it has kind of became the staple starting piece that everybody likes to use inside of modern flirting for the most part. So what do you think happened? Well, I'll tell you. So we go to the beach and beautiful day, super hot, sunny. Waves are, got a slight breeze. The waves are kind of just rolling in, and it's a Saturday. Everybody's out, So of course you have what? You have a ton of girls that are all out on the beach, right? Now, if you've ever been to a beach, a beach is only so big, right? Like it's not miles and miles and miles and miles long. All right. And even if it was, who's going to walk miles and miles? You ever walk on soft sand? Man, it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean? So, and it's super hot and all that kind of stuff. But regardless, we've got a ton of different girls that are all right inside of our vicinity. Now, everybody wants to show off. Everybody wants to, look good in front of all the other students and all this and that. These girls got bombarded with the same starter, one after another, and everybody wearing the same shirts, right? So they're like, what is going on? Like 5 people have asked me that already. I've had 5 people say that to me, and so what does that demonstrate? Well, yeah, having a line is cool, but if you don't know where to go with it after the fact, because you're being so reliant on a script, it's going to fall apart.
You can't be your authentic self, because at the end of the day, that is what you want to convey, right? Like whoever the other person is, you want to convey your true authentic self. Because like, for example, Cosmo does it because it's his persona, it's his life, he can wing his, like you copying his dialogue won't make you Cosmo. That's just not how it's going to work. So
now, I will say this though. like his line is very effective. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's absolutely fine for, using it out and about. I have zero issue with that. But this is where the crux of the problem is in this situation. Okay, these girls are hearing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Okay. So, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to still work. Okay. So it's boils down to this, circles right back to the inner game, right? How secure, how grounded are you in what it is that you're actually saying? See, what happened with most of the guys, as soon as they got that objection, they were out of there. Like, oh, the jig is up.
Busted. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So on to the next one, right?
Yeah.
Is what I was telling was like, well, why didn't you just plow through that? And they're like, well, they already heard it. And I'm like, they didn't hear what the next thing that's going to come out of your mouth is likely, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what I was like, if that happened to me, if I go and walk up to those girls right now and I say the same thing that you just said, okay, and if they're like, how come everybody keeps saying that to us? I'm going to be like, well, because it's true. Well, what I probably should say is what he actually says. So to give a little bit of context here. So
yeah.
What this is Cosmo's starter is he'll be like, oh, hey, real quick, guys, I had to come up and just let you know, I really like your guys' energy. It's inspiring. I really like it. My name is Cosmo. What's your guys' names? That's what he starts with. It's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
So if I was to walk up and say, hey, real quick, guys, got to keep it moving, but just wanted to come over and congratulate your energy. Like, it's inspiring. I love it. Keep it up. But my name's Dale. What's your guys' name? Oh, you know what? Somebody just told us that. And I'm like, see how infectious that is? Your energy is so infectious. You got everybody coming up here telling you about it. Like, you probably didn't even notice that. See, that just goes to show that a lot of times people don't even see their blind spots. Good thing you got me here to point it out to you.
Exactly. That's the perfect way to spin it.
Right. But see, what the problem was is the guys were relying too much on,
the lines. Exactly. Like,
yeah,
it's not following the script. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, it's not following the script. We are busted. What else can we do? Because,
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm getting at here is that, yes, there's vehicles that you can use to display your personality. I have zero issue with that. Okay. The problem is where the vehicles are more important than the personality. If you're afraid to express your personality and you think it's all a bunch of, gimmicks and tricks and routines and whatever, then you're looking at it incorrectly. The personality part, it supersedes everything else. Now, you might use a vehicle to get that personality across, but if you're afraid to actually express your real personality, that's an inner game issue. That's a problem. And that's something that needs to be worked through. And that's exactly what it is that I do when I'm working with the guys in Modern Flirting and the guys in my Facebook group and on my YouTube channel and here, right? Ultimately on this podcast. That's the whole get down here is to help you guys that are watching this, listening to this, however you're consuming this content. It's about you. It's about what you're going through and what is the best way that I can help you do that. And if I can play a small part in you overcoming something that's been holding you back in your life, man, that's awesome. Like, that's what I would absolutely love to be able to do. But you have to be self-aware enough to understand that you even have that problem. Now, think of it like this. I've got a headache, we'll say. Okay. I got this headache, and it's been bothering me for a few days. And I've been popping Tylenols, ibuprofen, whatever, and I'm numbing it out. Like, it goes away, but then it comes back. Right. So I take a couple more, right? Numb it out, comes back. This goes on for a few days. Well, I'm like, I should probably go, maybe, I don't know, make a doctor's appointment or something like that. Like, this headache just will not go away. Turns out I got brain cancer. Okay. Now, I wouldn't have known that I had brain cancer. I wouldn't have been able to diagnose that. All I'm operating off of is the symptom. I'm trying to numb
Exactly.
out the symptom to the larger issue. Now, if I didn't
Exactly.
go to the doctor and get a CAT scan or whatever it is they do the phenology, I don't know what they do. However they figure that out, if I didn't go do that, and maybe I catch it in time, and like I'll get some chemo, and I'm good for
Yeah.
however long, whatever, right?
Yeah. You're sorted.
But yeah, I'm dealing with the root of the problem. I'm not dealing with the symptoms of it anymore. If I can
Exactly.
eradicate the root, then the symptoms take care of themselves. They ain't gonna be in.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's what a lot of guys do, though. Oh, I have a hard time. I'm not confident enough in myself, so I have to use this routine stack or this whatever gimmick or whatever. I got to use that as a way to project who I am.
Yeah. Exactly.
And for how long? How many routines are you gonna learn?
Yeah, because like you can't fake your way to like entirety of like your conversations or
Right.
something. Like okay, you can use a couple of routines in between. Fine, you make the conversation interesting. You have a story that you said.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. What about the rest of the conversation? What about the rest of the dates? What about the rest of the week? Like how
Exactly.
exactly are you going to talk to that person if you
Right.
can't show your true self? Like it just
Exactly.
doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
So
And again, like I'm not trying to diss, using certain techniques and things like that because they are effective at the end of the day. Okay. But at the same time, it's only as effective as you are with your inner game strength. Because
exactly.
at a certain point in time, that reservoir of routines and things like that, you're going to run out. There's only so
Exactly.
many. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you
Like it's just
understand,
like
oh, go ahead.
sorry, yeah, it's just like a person trying to be funny. If you let's say you just recited a couple of jokes and you started telling them, initially it will be funny, but you will at the end of the day run out of jokes
Right.
unless you are a genuinely fun person to be with. Once your jokes are over, it's over. You won't be fun anymore.
Right.
Isn't
That's a
it
great
simply
example.
better?
That's
Yeah.
like what you're saying would be exactly akin to I'm going to go get a book of jokes. I'm going to get a joke book. And I'm just going to memorize as many jokes in this joke book as I possibly can. So is that people think I'm funny. Well, guess what? People aren't going to think you're funny. They're going to think that's funny. What you said
Yeah.
is funny, not that you are funny.
You are a funny.
Right.
Exactly.
If you understand the concept behind why those jokes are funny, whether it's misdirection or it's non sequitur or it's clever, any number of comedic style, right? If you understand the concept as to why it's funny, you don't need the joke book. You can generate your own.
Exactly.
So that's the overarching point, I guess, is what we're trying to say here. It's like you could have
That
all the
is
routines
true
in the
inner
world.
game. Exactly. Like inner game is simply being the best version of yourself. You
Yes.
don't have to change yourself. You just have to be the best version of yourself.
Right. See, here's the deal. People get into this lifestyle community, whatever you want to, the industry, however you want to define what it is that we do. Okay. As dating coaches and things like that. So people come to us for help, right? And that's what we're here for. Okay, fine. Now, the thing is that usually for most guys, the end game, the overarching goal here, the macro goal is to be in a relationship. Okay. Now you have guys, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this or anything. Now, some guys, they just want to play the field and they just, want to bang it out as much as they possibly can. And that's a fine. But for most people, the end game is a relationship. Okay. And so now how they get to that mountaintop, there's a bunch of different paths. You know what I mean? So however they get there is however they get there, but it's my job to help lead them up one of those paths and one that I see is to be the most feasible for them to do so. Okay. Now, the thing is that, well, if that is the end game, that relationship, the emphasis should be, especially on the onset, the relationship that you have with yourself. That's the inner game. The outer game is all the things that you're going out and doing. and outwardly, externally, right? Inner game is the game internally, right? So it's forging that relationship that you have with yourself. A lot of times we're quick to judge somebody or condemn something like, oh, this person did me wrong or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's probably 10% as bad as the stuff that you do to yourself.
Exactly.
You're quick to oust this person out who told you a lie. How many lies have you told yourself? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
So that inner game, that's you forging that relationship with yourself.
yourself.
Once that's secure, then having a relationship with somebody else makes a lot more sense because you
Exactly.
know who you are. You're secure in your identity, what it is that you want, and you're grounded. You're solid, and you're
Exactly.
fluent with yourself. So that other person, that girl, she knows what she's actually operating off of, right? She knows
Exactly.
who you are. There's no guesswork involved.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Exactly.
her decision-making process isn't based on what ifs. Her
Exactly. She
decision-making
knows that.
process is operating on what is,
Exactly.
you know? So,
So I feel that's kind of like the biggest sticking point for most people, because what happens is they try to, like you said, fake it. And then, it like the person, like, say the girl saw versus who he actually is are different. And
mhm,
there's that incongruency. And, girls don't know how to adjust to it. So they'll feel something is fishy and they get turned off. And
yep,
then you wonder, why did she flake on your date? Or why isn't she replying to you? Or, whatever the case is.
right,
It's that's kind of the underlying reason. It's just that you are not authentic in that sense. So
yeah. Yeah, it's like this, when I was active doing real estate, every now and again, I would be showing a house to somebody, a potential buyer, right? And we're going through this house and taking a look around. And even if the person is really into the house, they're like, yeah, this really makes a lot of sense. This house is,
hmm,
it's checking a lot of boxes here. Well, then inevitably, you get to a few different rooms that are locked. You can't even get them. They got a padlock on the door, right?
exactly.
So what happens is your mind goes to the worst. What are they hiding? What's behind that door?
That
What
yeah,
is the
exactly.
seller trying to not let me see? It has to be
See.
something terrible. Maybe there's dead bodies in there. Maybe
Maybe
they're
there's a
doing
ghost.
satanic rituals. Like, man, that's where they keep
Exactly.
all the ghosts.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be
Like,
any number of things, like,
right. It could
and
be anything behind that door. It might be nothing
yeah,
behind that door. They just forgot to unlock it. You don't know.
exactly.
But guess what? Every single one of those circumstances where that happened, where that door was locked up or multiple doors, that person wasn't interested, even though up until that point they were into the house. They inevitably was like, nah, let's keep looking.
Yeah, exactly.
Only because of we couldn't
That
get in
one
that
thing,
room.
it's exactly, and that is what most people like kind of forget. Like, you can do everything right, and you can miss out something key like this. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you can use the perfect line, the perfect body language, the perfect whatever. But if you are truly not authentic, it will only get you so far. Like, how long till your true self shows out?
Right.
It's just like, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So um I know that, well, you wanted to ask me about the number one thing that guys deal with. We talked about this
Exactly. Yeah.
during show prep,
So
and yeah.
so what is it like? What is like? So what is the number one problem that your experience as a coach shows that guys have? Like, that's the most common for pretty much everybody.
Well, I think it's what it really boils down to is being able to show their true self. I think that,
Yeah.
and we obviously
Hmm.
touched on that to a large degree, but I see that as being the most predominant thing because ultimately almost every situation can circle back to not showing your true self. I don't know what to say. I get stumped. I'm in this conversation. I don't know what to say. No, you know what's you. It's not like your mind goes blank and you just. I forgot my own language. I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's not that you ran out of things to say. What it is that there's too many things to say, and you don't know which one to pick to paint yourself in the best light. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
because you're afraid of showing that true self by saying something that you feel like is going to make you look lesser than. Because in your
Exactly.
mind, your true self is lesser than.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And you're subconsciously like, that is kind of what I noticed as well. Some people are very friendly, very talkative in certain scenarios. Say,
Yeah.
for example, people like, mostly refer to, introverts as,
Right.
or people like someone who's not very social, or like a hardcore introvert.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard an introvert playing an online game? You would
No.
never imagine that person as someone who's an introvert. You can hear him like completely go wacko, like he's giving commands, he's like
Right.
cursing, he's like having fun. Like that is his true self. It's just that when he's behind the computer screen with a headphone, he can let go of all prejudice and just show his true self, because he
Yep.
isn't worried about what other people think at that specific point of time.
Yeah.
But the same person, you put him, say, on stage, now he's completely stifled. He can't, express himself because he thinks, what will everyone else think of me? Or
Right.
like something along those lines, and which ends up,
Yeah.
completely hiding his true self, which might actually be a fun, genuine, like, genuinely interesting person. But
Right. Exactly. And it seeps into so many different areas of your life when we're talking about interrelationships and you being secure with yourself and able to show that true self instead of like perpetuating a mask to cover up that real you, like I just
uh,
talked about. Man, you know what to say. Like if you're in a, like you just, that was a perfect example.
mhm.
Somebody that's in a, sitting around with their friends, are they having trouble thinking of things to say to their friends? No. Why? Because they're comfortable. Those friends already know who they are. So they're comfortable. And even if they say something stupid and their friends, kind of give them shit a little bit for it, they're, playfully, teasing them
Mhm.
and stuff like that. It don't matter, like just like, whatever, fuck you guys,
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't matter because it's not personal, and that's what I feel. Everyone, they judge their self-esteem and self-worth based on what other people think of them. I think
right.
that is kind of one of the underlying, issues
I mean,
that.
that even manifests itself sexually. All right. So
Yeah.
I had a guy recently that asked in my Facebook group, and by the way, I'll link up the Facebook group. We got over 3,600 guys in that group that ask questions, just like the one I'm about to throw out. Okay,
Yeah.
and just any litany of inner game struggles or really interrelationship dealings of any sort. But what he asked was basically he has a problem with what's it called? I got it. Hold on, I got it written down here. I just the term just jumped out of my head. Hang on one second. Where is it? This is preparation here. I was prepared. Okay. Premature ejaculation.
No, I
So
figured that was it.
yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. What I told him was, there's some physical things, that external things that you can do to help with that kind of problem. Okay. There's numbing, lotions and sprays and, there's extra thick condoms and,
Even
there's,
exercise, man. Even exercise helps a lot
yeah, I
with
mean,
that. Like,
there's a bunch of
healthy
external things
diet.
that you can do to help with that. But usually the main thing where the real struggle is, it's really, and like a lot of times people don't even know this. They don't even make this association.
Hmm.
It's because they don't feel worthy of actually being there with her. And they subconsciously think they got like, it's now or never.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
because who knows when this is going to happen again, so
So you got to lay the egg.
right, like this got to happen right now. You know what I mean? And what are they,
Yeah.
and they're done,
Okay.
so um, what I told him was, I was like, it's very much like, you ever heard somebody that talks extremely fast? Why do they talk extremely fast? Well, it's because they don't think that other people think that what they have to say is all that important. So they got to ram in as much information in the shortest amount of time possible before people start tuning them out. So that's why they
Exactly.
start, and
Yep.
so that's the thing. It's the same thing sexually with this guy, right? It's a matter of, he doesn't think that the girl is going to stick around long enough to actually build a proper sexual relationship. So his subconscious is like, you better nut. You better
Like
make
you
this
better
happen,
put the
dude.
yeah, exactly. You better put the bun in the oven, otherwise it's like gone.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So again, that's just another manifestation of thinking that you're
The
not good
core.
enough, or
Exactly.
revealing your true self just isn't going to get the job done. Now, we all know, of course, I would think anybody listening to this would know this, that, oh, just be yourself. That's kind of bullshit advice, right? Like,
Yeah,
okay,
it is like
I'm just going to be myself. Well, okay, here's the problem with that advice. Obviously, it's very generic, very dogmatic, and just isn't helpful. Okay, but the real thing is, it's not like, that being yourself is a bad thing. I fully endorse you being yourself, but it's the way that you present yourself. It's that best representation of you. If I could take a piece of pizza, right? And the lighting is all good. Like, I'm gonna do a pizza commercial. The lighting's
yeah.
all good. The cheese is just a perfect meltiness. It's just like, it just cooked to perfection. Like, it
Yeah.
looks fantastic. I got a super expensive, nice camera. I've got editing, and this pizza it just looks like the best pizza on planet Earth. Now, if I turn off that lights, I get a shitty camera that has a dirty lens, and um, whatever. But it's still the same slice of pizza, right? And then I'm taking pictures with that and recording that for this commercial, right? Same pizza, shot at the same time, basically, same day anyway, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. Just one's
Yeah.
presentation is better than the other. Now, I'm going to
Yeah.
get business from the good presentation. I'm going to go out of
And
business if I'm
with the
pushing
bad
this.
presentation.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You could actually push that example to a realistic scenario. Okay, let's just put it like that. There's one person, it's the same person, okay, in two different scenarios. In one scenario, that person is overweight, does not have a job, living in his parents' basement, is let's say very very obese, just plays just sits at home,
yeah,
watches stupid stuff online, just like, let's just call it what it is. He just nothing in life, has he's just living based off his parents. His
yeah,
parents are angry at him also. Okay, that's one side. On the other side, same guy who goes to the gym regularly, is fit, has a good job or has a good business where he's earning properly. Okay, has his own house, is his parents are proud of him, he's eating healthy, and he has a good social life, has good friends, has a good girlfriend, or like a couple of girls he's hanging out with, stuff like that. It's the same person. Who do you think is happier?
right,
As simple as that. Exactly. It's like it's the same person. Nothing has dramatically changed. It's not like he did a plastic surgery or something.
right,
It's just he went from his worst self to his best possible self.
right,
Now, I'm not saying he becomes Arnold Schwarzenegger in a jiffy. He's just fit. He goes
right,
to the gym versus he doesn't go to the gym. He eats healthy versus he doesn't eat healthy. That's the simple difference. But even those little things cumulatively make you a completely different person.
yeah,
Just that's the thing that people like, they think changing yourself is a very big endeavor, and it's like you have to become the best bodybuilder, have the best six pack abs, you need to be like the biggest, like, unless you're Bill Gates, you're not going to get anywhere, that
right,
extreme. You don't have to be that extreme, you just have to be the best possible version of you.
right.
That's all you need
Exactly.
to do. It's just that people always go for the extremes, And then when you see that, humongous mountain, you don't feel like doing it. Of course, if you just told me like, Shubham, you have to earn like, a couple million in like, next 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah, that's not going to be possible. That's just not how it works. Like, that's not realistically possible. But
Right.
that's kind of what you're subconsciously telling yourself when you see, an Instagram model or something. I have to be this, only then I'll be successful. Not
Right.
true. You just have to, get
Yeah,
the thing.
absolutely. Yeah, no doubt.
Exactly.
Speaking of extremes, this always kills me. Like when guys live in these extremes, right?
Yeah.
Where like you point out a like you were talking about like the first version of that guy, like super obese, lives in the basement, got nothing going for him. His room smells like sweat socks, like just nothing going for this guy whatsoever, right? And you'll have somebody that'll be like, you're talking about that guy. Well, I know this one guy who, like, that's exactly how he is. And he, like, he's got like a super hot girlfriend, and trying to use the exception to the rule to debunk what it is that you're saying,
Yeah, exactly. Like that is kind of what also triggers me a bit, because people want the perfect cop out.
Yeah.
They don't want to do the hard work, so
Mhm.
they'll use any excuse, man. Like that is kind of the problem, and I might get some flack for saying this on stream, but like people. There's also people who fake medical conditions as an excuse,
Yep.
so that they don't actually have to do work.
Yeah.
For example, they'd say that I have like clinical problems and stuff like that. Now I understand there are some genuine people with like genuine problems, that's different.
Right.
But many people would fake clinical problems as saying that that is why I can't be successful in life. I'm just unlucky, I'm just cursed. Like you'll get plethora of excuses to why they can't do that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like it's just mind-boggling if you think about it. But like,
yeah. The perfect example of that is, are you familiar with the Myers-Briggs test?
I've heard of it, but I don't.
Like for example, like you ever seen? They'll use letters to describe them. I'm INTJ.
Yeah. I remember.
Okay, you seen that before? That would be introverted. And I forget what the like other letters what it stands for. But the first one, if it's an I, it's introverted. If it's an E, it's extroverted, right?
Yeah.
And what I find is that people use those types of things. Not everybody, of course, but a lot of times people like they'll take something like the Myers-Briggs and it will give them a result of being introverted.
Yeah.
And now they use that as a blanket statement as to why, like, well, I can't get a girlfriend. I'm INTJ.
Exactly.
They use that as a cop out to like not actually improve anywhere, or at least improve socially, and to go out and all this and that. You know what I mean? So yeah, like using those things, and it's confirmation bias is what basically
exactly.
Oh, go ahead. Do you have something?
Yeah. I basically want to say, like, see, people mistake. I mean, that's my personal opinion, but I feel people mistake what introvert extrovert stands for. Those are two different things, but it's a personality type, true, but it's just the way we derive energy. For example, I am technically an introvert. Now, if you ask this to my friends, they'll be like, "Oh, come, man, he's bullshitting. There's no way Shubham is an introvert." Like, it's obviously. But let's be honest, I'm technically an introvert because I feel refreshed when I'm alone, when I'm reading a book or, spending time with myself. That is my way of refreshing myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that's not for everyone. Some people like to go to a party or, go to a big outing. That's how they feel refreshed. That's an extrovert. That's like, it doesn't define how I talk or directly.
Right.
It's just how we feel most comfortable with.
Yeah.
Like just because I like to read books in solidarity doesn't make me like a closet like incel or some shit like that.
Something.
Yeah, hermit, exactly. Yeah, like exactly. So that's what like people mistake introvert and extrovert is.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. If you ask my friends, even people I know, no one was going to tell me that I'm an introvert. Like, hell no, man. They want me to shut up. Like, the main thing is I don't shut up. So, so that's the entirety of the thing. Like, you won't realize that I'm technically an introvert if you just go by the test or, anything
Right.
else. But
No, I get
that's
it.
what it is,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things I really like what we're talking about here is that improvement, that level of leveling up, right? To make
Exactly.
yourself more attractive, to make yourself just a better person across the board, And I was reading a question column, from a newspaper just a couple of days ago, and somebody had asked this question. I wanted to bring it up and get your thoughts on it here. Hold on, let me pull up the link. Where'd it go? Here we go. All right. Now I'm not gonna read the person, like the expert or whatever. I'm not gonna read their answer. All I'm gonna do is read the question. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this is what the person asking the question said. I'm feeling really disheartened by dating right now. This is from a woman. Okay.
Okay.
It's not that I don't think I'm worthy of love, but the opposite. For the first time in my life at 27, I'm feeling very positive about myself. I'm funny, sporty, and hot. She thinks a lot of herself. Okay. And I have a cool job and cool friends. Okay. Well-rounded. Okay.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
All right. I hate to say this, but the men I'm encountering just don't measure up. They are literally the freaking worst. They are bad communicators, emotionally stunted, and don't act their age. When I meet someone I find attractive, we have sex twice, and then he ghosts me. And the guys that actually do want to date me are usually unattractive or otherwise too normy or dorky. As for dating apps, I truly have no words. If that's who Hinge thinks I'm most compatible with, I thoroughly disagree. What gives? Should I date someone 10 years older than me? Should I date at all? As Bonnie Tyler asks in Holding Out for a Hero, which is an old song, where have all the good men gone? All right. Damsel unimpressed is the... Okay. So based on that, I know what my thoughts are, but I want to see what you think, Shabam. So what's your thoughts?
You want to... Okay, thoughts on that. Well, I actually see that being actually true in our current generation of men. Like, let's be honest. The previous generations, like your generation and the one before that, they didn't really have, very formal, life lessons in, self-esteem, confidence and all. But if you had to compare, they were, let's be honest, like a bit more, like I would say, significantly more confident and outgoing than our current generation. Like, you've seen people hurt themselves because someone said something, negative about them on Facebook. Oh, like, who cares? There's like, no offense to that guy, but really, like, why do you care about what some random guy on the internet thinks about you? Like,
right.
Like, the only person, like, realistically speaking, you should be actually worried about is your own self.
Right.
What do you think of yourself? Like,
right.
Otherwise, it's the same thing. So, and that is why, like, in the current dating scenario, what has happened is the top 5% of men who are actually doing the stuff they have to do have an abundance of women.
Right.
Because they don't have that much competition, because other guys are just, fooling around, getting overweight, not earning anything, just completely going to the, downhill path. And these guys, just by doing like regular stuff that they're supposed to do anyways, are outshining everyone else. Now what's happened is the top 5% has infinite number of choices as to who to date. So they can, they just have that many options.
Yeah.
On the other hand, nobody wants to date, like the girl said, normie or like, very
Right.
dorky guy. It's just not going to work out for them,
Right.
because humans biologically are wired to find the best they can for themselves. Goes for both sides. It's not only men or women.
Right.
Women obviously want to get the best possible guy they can get. Similarly for guys also want to get the best possible woman they can get. It's just human nature.
Yeah.
So that's where that big competition comes, is like, if you think about it, if you do all the right things, getting to the top 5% isn't that hard. It's competitive but isn't hard. And also, like, this is one of the things I kind of irk me the wrong way, because like this is kind of the most common excuse. You probably heard this as people: it's too hard, it's too difficult, it takes too much work and everything.
Yeah.
That's kind of the whole point. Like, if it was easy, don't you think everyone would have done it? Like,
Right.
just example, getting a six pack. Okay,
Mhm.
now I know you don't need a six pack, but just saying, like, getting a six pack. If, like, that's what people ask, if you ask a fitness guy what's the most common request they have from client, is like, how can they get a six pack fast?
You
Like,
can't. It's not
you can't.
fast.
Exactly. And
Because they saw a video called 8 minute abs. Like that
exactly.
means that you're going to get them in 8 minutes. What that means
Exactly.
is you're doing an
Like,
8 minute exercise every day for the next
10
80
years
years.
maybe, I don't know, who knows. Like, but exactly, that's the difference that people don't realize. The abs are worthy because it takes a lot of effort to get them.
Right.
Okay, say for example, you want that Lamborghini or a Bugatti. Okay, that car is valuable because it takes a lot of effort to get it.
Yep.
If every Tom, Dick, and Harry was driving around in a Porsche or Bugatti, nobody would want that car.
Right.
Like, that's the same as wearing another Toyota or like another common car. The difference between being at the bottom and being at the top is that hard work. Is that there's one person who is willing to do the work and other person who's not willing to do the work. That's entirely the difference.
Yep.
Like, everyone, say, like whoever is fit. Now I understand genetics and all also come. There's a part of it, but it's not like that person never worked out. That
Mhm.
person never ate healthy. If he really was like eating like nobody's business, and he would have problems.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't show him, he would have health problems. So
Mhm.
why not, like, for example, just the gym scenario, to make it easier to understand, is the same thing. Everyone has to kind of go to the gym, work out, eat healthy. Like, everyone knows that. That's the secret to being healthy and live a long life.
Right.
But let's be honest, how many people actually do it?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. My thought on what she was asking, a couple of things. I see, much like you just said, you see so many guys complaining about, like, oh, these women have just unrealistic expectations and all this and that, and you know what? Here's the thing. They may be right in some degree, okay? Like, for
Hmm.
instance, if a girl who isn't anything of what it is that she wants in a partner, I need a guy
Hmm.
that's super fit and doing all this stuff,
Hmm.
making a bunch of money. When she's super overweight, has no job, and
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, okay,
Hmm.
all right, I get what she's saying. But the thing is that, you know, what this should be a catalyst to do is, okay, fine. If women have higher standards and most guys are falling below those standards, wouldn't they signal to you that maybe you should raise your standards for yourself?
Exactly.
Like there's
That's your
no
eureka
downside
moment.
to it. There's
Exactly.
absolutely
Like,
no downside.
exactly.
Like
So, like,
if you level up, you're leveling up across every space of your
everything.
life, right?
Yeah.
So I don't see where the problem is.
Yeah.
you
Like,
know?
another one thing I would like to point out, because this is kind of, I think, is like one of the root causes. People do stuff for the wrong reasons. For example, guys going to the gym to get girls. That is the wrong way to go at it. You don't go to the gym to get girls. You go to
Right.
the gym to get healthy, fit, and other stuff. And the girls come as a side benefit of it.
Right.
That's not the reason you go to the gym.
Right.
That's like putting the cart before the horse. That just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Same way with, like, money. Like, let's be honest, like this is kind of what most guys think, that girls who want successful guys are gold diggers.
Yeah.
Not true. They just want guys who are dependable. There's a
Right.
difference.
Yep.
There's like a huge difference. It's not that she's after the money. She's like, a hardworking guy symbolizes, a healthy mate. It's just primal instincts. It's not
Right.
like
It comes down to, now, pull out the disclaimer. Are there gold diggers? Yes, of course there are gold
yes, of
diggers.
course there are.
Okay.
Yeah,
But in large part, it's the characteristics and the qualities about you that you embody that enable you to get that kind of money that that you're thinking that she's a gold digger after. Okay. It's that you embody those characteristics. So if, for example, if you were to lose everything that you had today, if you were able to get that money, chances are you'll get that right back. You'll figure out a
exactly.
way to make
To
back that
get
money,
back to that point.
right?
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
not like you want a scratch off lottery ticket. You know what I'm saying?
Like that's kind of, just hoping to get lucky.
Right.
And
You
surprisingly,
you
that's
have the
how
skill
most
set to do
guys.
it.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's how you think, like, if you once figure out how to do it properly, you don't have to, like start everything from scratch. Say, for example, if you're like, okay, let's say before, say, for example, tomorrow, if you take Bill Gates, put him on the road, take all of his money away. I can guarantee you within a month, he'll be back to where he was, or
Yeah.
at least a part of it.
Right. Yeah, he
Because
could be out on the street.
yeah, like he's Bill Gates because he knows and he still has his power. Like say, worst case happens, there's like, some like people can take away your money at best. They can't take away your contacts, they can't take away your skills, they
Right.
can't take away your true self.
Right.
That is
Exactly.
your power. People put too much, of their ability in like, the cars, like, the big bungalows or, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not your power. Your skills and you yourself are the real power. You need
Yeah.
to realize that
Absolutely.
and, appreciate it. It's just that
Yeah.
everyone thinks, like they are like, successful because they're rich.
Right.
It's the opposite. They're rich because they're successful. It's kind of like,
Right.
it just goes
Exactly.
hand in hand.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the second part of that particular question, where she's kind of laying things out and stuff like that. Now, obviously, we don't know this woman. I have no
Yeah.
idea who she
Like,
is. It's
yeah.
an anonymous name, even.
Yeah.
So we don't know a thing about her aside from what she says about herself. Okay.
Right.
Now, one thing is, if she's consistently running into problems, what's the constant? Well, her. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, if she's sleeping with dudes a couple of times and then they ghost her right after that, well, one, either she's in places where she's picking the types of guys that is more likely to
Hmm.
happen. Or two, they're like, yeah, I've had about enough of this. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Like
so,
that's basically a disconnect between the, standard gap, basically.
right.
So
So, and I could see that being potentially, but again, we don't know, right? I'm
yeah.
just saying there could be that element to it as well. It might
Exactly.
not just be all the guys that she's running into, might have something to do with her as well. So to completely dismiss her as part of the problem, I think is a little disingenuous. But at the same time,
True.
the point remains the same, man. If you're one of these guys, I put a video out not that long
Hmm.
ago. The 27, it was like, I forget what it was titled. It was like 27 reasons that your dating life sucks or something like that. And
Hmm.
and in large part, it has to do with you playing the victim, you blaming society, you trying to compete with other people instead of competing with yourself, like doing all these things and shifting focus and blame and all these different places instead of turning it inwardly and saying, what can I do? What is in my power? What is something that I can improve on? Okay, now that I've improved on this, what's something else that I can improve on? I just had a conversation with somebody just today, as a matter of fact.
Hmm.
And you know, part of and this guy's mindset has shifted like significantly since we started kind of working together. And that was his biggest thing. is like society's out to get him. Women are out to get him, and it's like, dude, man, like women aren't your competition, dude. You're
Yeah,
not
like
for it to be a competition. Like if me and you, we're going to compete, right, in something. We're going to play this video game. All right. There has to be something that we're competing for. And in this case, it would be winning the video game, right? Like play a sports game. I got to beat you in basketball, whatever, right? We're competing for something. Men and women aren't competing for an ultimate prize. They're not in competition. And as a matter of fact, it's like, all women hate me. Man, they don't hate you. They don't even know you're there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, in all honesty, what's really happening is like they don't feel attracted to him, true, but they don't hate him or they don't even care about him. Like you said, it's just.
Oh man, I'm so glad you said that, bro. Because this is something I hear all the time. Like, well, they're not attracted to me, so that must mean that they're since they're not attracted to me, they must be like super not attracted. They're not attracted, so they must be disattacted or unattracted.
Yeah, like
to me,
they like
right?
hate, basically, like
that.
hate and such.
They're not unattracted
exactly.
to you. You're just baseline, right?
Yeah, exactly. You just are just a stranger to them. That's all it is.
Like homegirl posting that thing that I just read. One of the things that like all the guys that like me, right, are too normy or dorky. Notice she didn't say the guys that like me are hideous looking.
Yeah, there's like a big difference. Like, those things.
It's easy. Well, I should say easy, but it's a lot easier to go from being just baseline and then, ramping up your style a little bit and things like that, the way you present yourself, ramping that up, okay, than it is to go from, shedding 100 pounds, say, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a lot easier to go to the mall and get some new gear than it is to, get in crazy good shape, okay? So all that tells me is that these guys that want to date her, she's not saying, I don't want anything to do with these guys. These guys are the scum of the earth. They're completely terrible people. I'm not attracted to them in any stretch.
Exactly.
Right. They're just kind of there. And she's just not attracted to there. What is she attracted to? Guys that stand out, that cut away from the fray,
Exactly.
That make a difference. Like, I promise you, if I walk into a room, I'm noticeable. You know what I mean? Yep. And it's not because like I'm making some grand entrance or something like that, or that I'm like super, like physically attractive or anything else like that. But my presence, I have a heavy presence, and so it's easy.
Yeah, it's easy. Exactly.
So that's all it is if you're cut from the fray, people notice who you are. Now, will that turn some people off? Yes, but that's okay. Who cares?
Because, who cares? Like,
if you're turning some people on and you're turning some people off, okay, think of it like this, okay? If you're just you, right, no improvement, just baseline, like we're talking about, well, okay, you're not turning anybody off, all right? You're just kind of there, all right? You're not turning anybody off, but you're also not turning anybody on either, right?
Yeah.
You're just baseline still.
Yeah.
Now, if you're, in an upward trajectory, my loud boisterousness and gregarity, turns some people off. I get that. Some people will listen to this podcast and be like, "Oh my God, shut the fuck up."
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean?
I get it. Like, that's what some people feel. That's what it is.
But that's okay. I would rather some people be turned off and other people be turned on than nobody care at all.
Yeah, exactly. And like, just to your point, let me illustrate like a better example for it also. Okay. Would you rather want like to match someone else's type or be yourself? This is what I find a lot of guys doing and a lot of people doing, not only guys, girls also. Like, they want to fit someone else's type. Why?
Right.
Like, they just, like, you will see a lot of guys ask, what do like the hot girls, like not hot girls, but specific, I want to know what this girl likes so that I can be that.
Right.
Why?
Yeah, that goes right
You
back
need
to what we started with, man. It's being afraid.
Exactly.
So you yourself do not feel good enough. You
Exactly.
feel like you're lesser than.
Exactly. And that is kind of the core problem. You, like, me personally, and I think that is the right way to go at it, I would rather be with someone who accepts me for who I am as a person, with all my good and bad. I'm not saying I'm perfect, obviously, but like whatever it is as I am as a person, I would rather want someone who accepts me for me rather than me having to fake a persona to be with that person.
Right.
Because, okay, first of all, I can do it only for so long. That's one thing. Secondly, I wouldn't be happy.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
I would never be happy because it's not me.
Right.
Like, it would just never make me, truly satisfied as a person. Now, like, I might get the hot girl, but like, what then?
Right.
Like, that doesn't solve my,
From a philosophical standpoint, you still don't have the hot girl. That representation of you has the hot girl.
The hot girl, not you truly. Like,
right.
And she doesn't like you. She likes that front of you that you pretended in front of her.
Right.
She like to your point, that's just like a fake version of you. She really truly doesn't care about you.
Right.
Because that is what I feel guys should actually strive for rather than one particular girl, like I want to date that specific girl. That itself is a problem.
Yeah.
That, what that tells me? You're putting her on a pedestal and you're never going to get her. Like,
right.
Even if she magically somehow managed to get in a relationship with her,
yep,
she's going to dump your ass within a month. 2 months. 2 months at best. Let's give it that. But like, that's all that's going to happen. And let's be honest, like, girls need to respect you. This might sound controversial, but like, girls need to respect you all more than they love you. At point. Like, they might not, might not completely, find certain qualities in you attractive or the best, but they need to respect you to know you are that type of a person and you are that guy.
Right.
They willingly made a choice to be with you, so that's on them. But you don't need to pretend or fake a version of yourself just to get liked. That's just like, like to your point, like, it's just all the wrong things that can take you down, thing. Yep. And that is kind of why so many people say that they're depressed and like they're not happy in life. Of course you won't be happy in life. You've been pretending the entire time. Like, it, first of all, it's very tiring. Secondly, it doesn't make you happy. So you might have the rich friends, you might have the rich, but they're not your people because it's basically the fake version of you that is actually getting all the, let's just say, the friendship or the attraction or whatever.
Right.
But it's not you. Yeah.
A lot of times I get asked, how can I raise my self-esteem so I like myself better? Okay. Yeah. And I mean, at the core, that's really what self-esteem is how you feel about yourself.
Yourself. Okay? Exactly.
So one of the things that I like to have guys do is just go out and give compliments and expect nothing in return. Not have it be this reciprocal thing, where you're just adding value, giving value to somebody else that it's cool if you know the person, that's fine. But my real goal would be strangers, people that you don't know. And for instance, earlier this week, I go to the grocery store, right?
No.
And I'm in there, I'm walking around. Well, at this particular grocery store, there's and I've seen him there a gang of times. There's a guy that kind of stands at the end of the parking lot where the cars are coming in and out. He's got his little sign, and he's a homeless dude. You know what I mean? And so he'll get some money. It's kind of smart from a homeless perspective. You got a lot of people, a lot of traffic going in and out of there. But a little bit of money, he can go in there.
Business 101.
Use the bathroom. You know what I mean? So, it's kind of smart, really. But anyhow. So this guy, like I said, I've seen him at the end of the parking lot a gang of times. Well, I just so happened to be walking down the freezer aisle. And And there he is. He's got a little shopping cart and everything. And, he looks over at me and I make eye contact with him. And the next thing I'm thinking he's going to ask me is, for $1. You know what I mean? But he didn't. I just, gave him a nod and he gave me an acknowledging nod. And then he says to me, he was like, hey, do you happen to know where they keep, I forget what he asked me. It was like cheese or something, lunch meat or something like that. And I was like, yeah, man, you know what? It's right down there. It's at the end of the aisle. And I was like, you look really familiar to me. Like and I knew, I was just saying that, like I already knew where he was from. And I was like, you look really familiar. He's like, yeah, well, I'm in the parking lot like every day. Like, that's it, man. That's it. Now I was like, I don't mean to like pry or anything like that, but like, man, what are you working towards, man? Like, where are you trying to like, this can't be it,
Yeah. What's your end goal? Like,
Right. And so he starts telling me, he's like, man, he kind of gives me his story a little bit. And it was pretty rough. And he was like, man, what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to get enough money together so is that I can basically get like rent a room somewhere and like find like a close job to that room and then just try to work myself up from there. I was like, hey man, that's noble. Like that's awesome. That's a great goal. Like makes all the sense in the world to me. Now I don't know he might just been telling me that, and his end game is, look, I'm gonna go buy some heroin as soon as I walk out this door. You know what I mean? That he might have just been bullshitting me, but he seemed sincere in what he was saying. And I was just like, man, let me ask you something. I was like, when is the last time anybody has given you a compliment? And he was like, I couldn't even tell you. He's like, I have no clue. And I was like, man, let me tell you something. This is from me to you. What you are doing, what you're trying to work towards right now, I respect so much. Like, what you don't know is I have an audience, of people that follow me. And I was like, I'm going to tell them about this situation. Is there a way that, we can help you? Like maybe a GoFundMe or something like that. And he didn't really have any kind of resource like that, or anything like that. And he was just like, man, he's like, I appreciate the hell out of that. But he was like, I don't even know how or where, or, like they just, and I'm not,
it's over his head.
Yeah. I'm not really tech savvy. So it's not like a thing of like, well, I'll whip you up one, man, or something like that.
Exactly.
So, we kind of left it there, but I was just like, I just want you to know, I find what you're doing so respectable, man. Like, it's so noble. Like, I think it's super dope, and I wish you all the best luck in the world, man. Like, I really hope that you make it happen. Can I give you a hug? And he was like, dude, tears were like welling up in this guy's eyes. Like, honestly, tears were welling up in my eyes too. And and we hugged it out, and that was that, Now, here's the thing. People are absolutely dying for just a kind word.
Yep. Exactly.
Many guys in particularly, okay, go a long time without hearing that they're appreciated, without hearing that I like those shoes. Like, whatever, even something super small like that, go a long time.
There's actually a popular meme because of it. Like, might sound kind of a bit comical, but it is kind of true. There's like, it's basically a meme where a guy is like, smiling, and like, the other person asks, why are you smiling? I just remember 3 years ago, that girl complimented me, like saying I had that nice boots or something. Like, that is how rare compliments are, specifically, especially to guys, because let's be honest, the amount of times girls compliment guys as opposed to, the other way around is a bit skewed.
And girls compliment girls a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God,
you've seen that.
That skirt is so cute.
Yeah, exactly. Guys never do that. Like, we're like,
I can't tell you the last time I told one of my guy friends that his skirt was cute. I'll tell you that.
That would be hilarious. I don't want to hear that one though.
But here's the thing. This is what I'm getting at here. I would love, and look, I'm one man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just me. But I would really, really, really love to see the culture in that change to where it's a little more. And I'm not saying you have to go over the top with it and go running down the street shouting insincere compliments, like, oh my God, I love your car. When it's like on blocks and so, but if you can give somebody one compliment a day, you have no idea how much that can change somebody's perspective about something. Change it. You may have saved their life. They may have been gearing up to kill themselves. You don't know. I mean, probably.
Yeah, you don't know.
But
that's the thing. A lot of people are suffering because they hide behind a smile. You don't know. And the best part of, I'll tell you a story. This my friend told me this is what happened to him, and this is because there's a free restaurant that we regularly, visit, and it was kind of like you will laugh at this if you like. This was like the perfect movie moment, but completely coincidental. Okay, my friend was, I wasn't there. My friend was out on a date. It's a restaurant that we frequent. We are like very frequent customers. Mm-hmm. Okay, we tip them regularly, and good people, and we just know them. My friend had gone for a date there with his girl, and they were and it's India, man. Load shedding, power cuts is kind of like common. Okay, so that thing happened. Okay, right. They're in the restaurant. They were having dinner, and the lights went out. Okay, so and they basically put candles there just to make the venue a bit different because there's no electricity. Might as well put some candles there. So it became kind of like candlelight dinner thingy. My friend, being smart as he is, bullshitted this. Okay, I'll tell you what he said. Yeah, you know why this blackout just happened? I just called my friends in the electricity department, told them to cut the power out, just so that we could have this candlelight romantic dinner. It's just for you, baby. And she was like, yeah, bullshit, this and that. And he went forward to say, you don't even know, the waiter is going to come and give you a flower, a rose, which is from me. Okay. Kid you not, 5 minutes later, the waiter comes and gives her a rose. This is from Mr. Literally. And she's like mind blown. She's like completely,
Yeah.
And my friend is like straight face. Yeah. See, told you. It's like completely. Yeah.
How do you work the rose out though? I mean, the power, you can say that, whatever. But how do you work?
Yeah. No, I'll tell you. Let me get to the story then.
Oh, okay.
After the date, he sends the girl back to the taxi. It was kind of so he just paid for taxi anyway. This guy just turns around, just high-fives the waiter, and he's like, bro, thank God. You know what actually happened? When he said, I told the waiter to, give you the rose. The waiter heard it.
He just overheard it?
Yes, he overheard it. And because he's a regular customer, and those guys know us, okay? We come there.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. So
he just picked up a rose.
Yeah.
It acted like, it was completely pre-planned.
That's hilarious.
And my bro was like, that's my man. That's like my man. But look at how, it's one rose, okay? It's not make a difference for anyone. But for at that specific moment, just because he's been, kind, a regular customer, just being a nice guy, whenever we come, we talk to them, how's it going? It's just simple stuff like that. It's not like we are even, it's just like, how's your day been going? Regular customers.
Yeah.
The result was this. It's completely unexpected, but, it's simple gestures like that. It completely made my friend's day, and he got super lucky because of it. Because that girl is never going to forget that date. For her, it was magical. For him, he's just got lucky, but let's say it is, But that shows,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. So just to round things out for today, all right, I've got a super deep hypothetical question that I want to run by you. Okay. This is going to be transformational. Anybody listening to this podcast with this, just one simple question can just change everything. Okay. You ready?
Yep.
You got your mind clear. You got you on the edge of your seat. You ready to hear this question, Shaban?
Yep. Let's go.
Okay. Would you rather have sex with a goat and nobody know it, or you don't have sex with the goat, but everybody thinks that you did?
Okay, that's bad either way. Can I take the Fifth Amendment for that one?
No, man, you're on the hot seat, homie. There's no
I
fifth.
ain't answering that.
You don't
Sorry.
even have the fifth. You're in India.
Like, who cares, bro? Like, for all intents and purposes, you know? Like, oh, God.
Well,
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that. No, thank you.
well, I'll tell you, I would rather not do it because I don't want to and have everybody think that I did, just so simply I could mess with people about it. You know, like, hey, I'm the GOAT. That's what goats do. Greatest of all time. You know, like, like you can't.
That is witty but disturbing.
You can't fuck with the goat. Well, apparently you can.
You can.
All right. So,
oh, good.
Well, listen, this is episode 1 in the books, and we're going to be doing these every week. All right. And if you need to reach out to me, I'm very easy to get to. I will drop all the contact information in the description and, you know, just so it's there for you. And, you know, so be looking out for these podcasts. Subscribe to it. You know, if you're seeing this on YouTube, subscribe to it. You're seeing it on Rumble, subscribe to it, you know, because we want to be able to get this information to you the easiest, quickest way that we possibly can. And I believe that to be the case is by you subscribing, and hey, as soon as they drop, boom, you know all about it.
And make sure to ask your questions in the Facebook group or in the comment section below. We'd love to hear what you think about us, whatever your ideas are, whatever you want to know, so that we can take it for the next postcard. We'll be more than happy to take your questions. So feel free at it, man. The more interaction we get, the better.
Absolutely. So that's us up. We'll see you guys in the next one. Salute.
Cheers. Bye-bye.